like to ask the Minister for Economic Development what assessment he has made of the economic benefit to the island of the Manx National Rally, Rally Isle of Man and the Pokerstars Rally, what the basis of this assessment is, and what financial or other support his department provides to each of these events.
Minister to reply.
Good morning, Dr. M. In answer to the honourable member's question, I can inform him that the three rallies are not currently funded by the department. The department does not routinely collect economic data on events it does not directly fund. As such, I cannot provide an event-specific assessment of their economic benefit to the island. However, we have been working with Rally Isle of Man, held each September, to gain an insight into its economic value. Rally Isle of Man organisers have provided their own estimates that some 1,500 visitors stayed on the island for an average of 6 nights. Using the average spend data from the official Isle of Man Passenger Survey 2016, this would equate to a gross visitor spend in the region of 800,000. The rally organisers believe, though, that their event visitors have an above-average spend. This is due in particular to the additional spend on petrol, rally entry fees and the fact that the majority of visitors will stay in hotel accommodation. This increased spend would mean that Rally Isle of Man may have a gross visitor spend of over £1 million. The honourable member asks what support our department provides for the car rallies. This is mainly around in-kind by making TT Grandstand available as rally headquarters, as well as providing ancillary services at the grandstand to help rally organisers. Good reminder.
Supplementary, Mr. Baker. Thank
you, Mr. President. Very encouraging that to hear the Minister say that the Rally Isle of Man may have an economic benefit of over £1 million. Would the Minister agree with me that really we should have that information for not accurately and not just for one event that the organisers estimate, but actually all three, given that these are three integral parts of the motorsport offering on the island? And can he commit to actually looking more fully at the economic benefit of these events, which do, of course, also have a significant cost in terms of the disruptive effect on the local residents, those living on the courses, and the impact of the rallying event on the road surfaces and the associated environment of the island?
Minister to reply.
Good morning, Dr. Yes, I do take the honourable member's point. He highlights the disruptive issue and, of course, the impact on infrastructure. We fully accept that, and I think the Isle of Man, obviously very well known to be motorsport friendly. Rally is another part of that, and been here for many, many years. And we do need to understand its economic benefit to take into account the overall point, the overall issue, and the balance in trying to support this. Clearly, other parts of government play a role with regards to this, road closures, and that does need to follow through with regards to advising the residents. We need to be wary of that, and the infrastructure impact. So, yes, having an economic value and an assessment is very helpful, but I would point out once more, we are not funding this event. We are purely supporting this through in-kind, and we do take that on board.
Honourable Member for Douglas East, Mr. Robert Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. President. I should say before I commence my question that I need to declare an interest because the focus of my question relates to the importance of this sort of event on the accommodation sector, and that effectively 30 of the leading accommodation providers are my customers. However, I think it's legitimate for me to ask this question because my understanding of the data in this area is sophisticated. That understanding has been reinforced recently by government producing data which shows that the accommodation sector was in recession from 2009 continuously to 2016. There are specific reasons for this. I'm coming to the question, Mr. President. Bear with me, sir, please. My slightly encouraging comment is I think there's been something of an uptick in the last year. But does the Minister understand the importance that the likes of car rallies, etc., have on the accommodation sector insofar as the accommodation sector itself has slipped into this recessionary environment because the value of the main line of its business, which is coach operators, is a lower margin, and the business traffic in the winter has receded and will remain in recession. I recently did some numbers for the first few weeks in November, and what stood out was the importance to the accommodation sector of the likes of the recent car rally. Can he reassure me that his department fully understands the continuing importance, vital importance, of this sort of event?
Yeah. Minister to reply.
Good morning. I thank the honourable member for his question. And yes, it is very important to recognise the value of this business, particularly at this time of year, where we do move into the before we move into the full off-season. So September is obviously a very important time to increase our visitor spend here on the island. So special events worked very well. This is an event that's obviously been ongoing for a number of years, and clearly we need to understand that economic value. But this is about not just higher spend, but higher value, and we recognise that our accommodation industry, our tourism industry, is very important to the island because it's all about imported revenue to our island, and that is of great value. So when we talk about the programme for government special place to live and work, we also have to have a special place to visit, and tourism is very high on that agenda, and I'm delighted to hear a lot of other results with regards to the tourism economy now starting to be on the growth mode.
Honourable Member for Douglas North, Mr Peake.
Thank you, Mr President. Would the Minister agree with me that in a sport where the average clubman rally car can cost £20,000 and a world rally car can cost £250,000, and at the last rally last weekend I think I saw 3 world rally cars in that event, for a sport that has so much money in it, with the amount of teams that come over here, the spend, you touched on earlier about an average spend of 800,000 to the Isle of Man, possibly $1 million. I think that would be a lot more than that. I think it is important that the Isle of Man keeps these events going. It's certainly, in the 1980s, the Isle of Man Constabulary encouraged more of these events to go on closed public roads rather than on open roads. So would the Minister agree with me that this is an important contribution to the Isle of Man's economy?
Minister.
Yes, along the same lines, yes, absolutely would agree that this is important to our economy, and it's well worth picking up that, reiterating that point once more. The passenger survey that we conduct that does the calculation for this data said it's maybe 800,000, but it's estimated to be higher because of the higher spend and the nature of this particular activity. So yes, and it is spread out, I believe, across the economy. But again, it is all about balance because there is disruption. We do have to accept that, and we do need to make sure that we get the communication right. And but if we can increase the visitor spend, clearly that's a benefit to the economy, and we would want to obviously endorse that.
Final supplementary, Mr Baker.
Thank you, Mr President. In view of the clear importance to the economy of the tourism sector and the real insight that can be provided by really understanding where the money's coming from and the events that are driving it, has the Minister, in his new plans for the Executive Agency for Visit Isle of Man, reflected this, and is it part of how he sees the future evolving for the visitor economy?
Minister.
I think the honourable member raised a very good point. This would be in the space of what we would regard as product development, which would be a responsibility that we would see for these executive agencies. And clearly, I'd just come back to A, we're a motorsport-friendly nation. B, we're very event-friendly in terms of our skills that we can actually produce. And just last year, the two-wheel, not just the motorised, but of course the cycling version of the British National Road Champs were actually here and performed exceedingly well, and we were compared with the best in the world in that respect too. So once more, sport is very important to us, and this is just another avenue of it, and we will take on board the comments made by members here this morning. Good morning.